Okay, we are still in chapter 3. I'm going to do part 2, and this is called the 7 streams. The question is constantly asked, why this continual play by theosophists upon the number 7? We speak of it as the root number of our system. And there is one obvious reason why this number should play an active part in the grouping of things, since we are concerned with the triplicities previously mentioned and explained. A triad naturally produces a septenate by its own internal relations. A triad naturally produces a septenate by its own internal relations, since its 3 factors can group themselves in 7 ways and no more. We have spoken of matter outside the limits of a universe as having the 3 qualities of matter: inertia, mobility, and rhythm, right? And that's also Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva, Raja and Sattva. And they are in a state of equilibrium. When the life of the Logos causes motion, we have at once the possibility of 7 groups, for in any given atom or group of atoms, one or other of these qualities may be more strongly energized than the others, and thus a predominant quality will be shown forth. We may thus have 3 groups, and one of which inertia will predominate, and another mobility, and a third rhythm. Each of these again subdivides according to the predominance in it of one or other of the remaining 2 qualities. Thus, in one of the 2 inertia groups, mobility may predominate over rhythm, and in the other, rhythm over mobility, and so with the other 2 groups of mobility and rhythm. Hence arise the well-known types, classified according to the predominant quality, usually designated by their Sanskrit terms, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Rhythmical, mobile, and inert. And we have sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, foods, animals, men, etc. And we obtain 7 groups in all, 6 subdivisions of the 3, and a 7th in which the 3 qualities are equally active. The varieties of types are simply intended to mark in each triad the relative energies of the qualities. Okay, so we take a look at that there. The life of the Logos, which is to flow into this matter, itself manifests in 7 streams or rays. These arise similarly out of the 3 aspects of consciousness present in him, as in all consciousness, since all are manifestations of the universal self. These are bliss, I don't know how to say that, will, cognition, or jnanam, wisdom, existence, or kriya, activity. So we have the 7 streams or rays of logic life, or what we call generally logoic life. And then here we have this will, wisdom, and activity seen. All things may be regarded as grouped under these 7 headings, and the 7 streams of logic life composing the second life wave, as we may think of it as flowing through the planes, descending through them, so that if we draw the planes horizontally, the life wave would sweep vertically downwards through them. Moreover, in each stream there will be 7 primary subdivisions according to the type of matter concerned, and within these secondary subdivisions according to the proportions of the qualities within each type, and so on in innumerable variations. Into these we need not enter. It is enough to notice the 7 types of matter and the 7 types of consciousness. The 7 streams of logic life show out as the 7 types of consciousness, and within each of these 7 types of matter combinations are found. There are to be seen 7 distinct types in each of the 3 elemental kingdoms and on the physical plane. Madame Blavatsky in The Secret Doctrine, dealing with man, quotes from the stanzas of the Book of Daisen the fact that there were 7 of them, each on his lot, forming the 7 types of men, and these subdivided. 7 times 7 shadows of future men were born. Here is the root of the differing temperaments of men. Now we're on to the second part of this, the shining ones. We have now to consider another result of the downward sweeping life wave. We have seen that it gives qualities to aggregations of matter on the 5th and 6th planes. So we're looking at 5th and 6th right here, mental and astral. And that we have in the first elemental kingdom materials ready to clothe abstract thoughts. In the second elemental kingdoms, material ready to clothe concrete thoughts. And in the third elemental kingdom, materials ready to clothe desires. But in addition to imparting qualities to aggregations of matter, the second Logos gives forth, during this stage of his descent, evolved beings at various stages of development who form the normal and typical inhabitants of these 3 kingdoms. These beings have been brought over by Logos from a preceding evolution and are sent forth from the treasure house of his life to inhabit the plane for which their development fits them and to cooperate with him and later with man in the working out of his scheme of evolution. They have received various names in the various religions, but all religions recognize the fact of their existence and of their work. The Sanskrit name Devas, or the Shining Ones, is the most general and aptly describes the most marked characteristic of their appearance, a brilliant, luminous radiance. The Hebrew, Christian, and Mohammedan religions call them archangels and angels. The Theosophists, to avoid sectarian connotations, names them after their habitat, elementals. And this title has the further advantage that it reminds the student of their connection with the 5 elements of the ancient world: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. For there are similar beings of a higher type on the Atmic and Buddhic planes, as well as the fire and water elementals of the mental and desire planes, and the ethereal elementals of the physical. These beings have bodies formed out of the elemental essence of the kingdom to which they belong, flashing many-hued bodies, changing form at the will of the indwelling entity. They form a vast host, ever actively at work, laboring at the elemental essence to improve its quality, taking it to form their own bodies, throwing it off and taking other portions of it to render it more responsive. They are also constantly busied in the shaping of forms and aiding human egos on the way to reincarnation and building their new bodies, bringing materials of the needed kind and helping in its arrangements. The less advanced the ego, the greater the directive work of the deva. With the animals, they do almost all of the work and practically all with the vegetables and minerals. They are the active agents in the work of the Logos, carrying out all the details of his world plan and aiding the countless evolving lives to find the materials they need for their clothing. All antiquity recognized the indispensable work they do. The worlds, China, Egypt, India, Persia, Greece, Rome, tell the same story. The belief in the higher of them is not only found in all religions, but memories of those of the desire and of the ethereal physical plane linger on in folklore and stories of nature spirits, fairies, gnomes, trolls, and under many other names. Memories of days when men were less deeply enwrapped in material interests and more sensitive to the influences that played upon them from the subtler worlds. This concentration on material interests, necessary for evolution, has shut out the working of the elementals from humanitarian waking consciousness. But this does not, of course, stop their working, though often rendering it less effective on the physical plane. At the stage we are considering, however, all this work, except that of the improvement of the elemental essence, lay in the far future, but the shining ones labored diligently at that improvement. There was thus a vast work of preparation accomplished before anything in the way of physical forms, such as we should recognize, could appear, a vast labor at the form side of things before embodied consciousness, save that of the Logos and his shining ones, could do anything at all. That which was to be human consciousness at this point was a seed sown on the higher planes, unconscious of all without it, or without also meaning outside of it. Under the impelling warmth of the logic life, it sends out a tiny rootlet downwards, which pushes its ways into the lower planes blindly, unconsciously, and this rootlet must form our next object of study. Okay, well, that was quite shorter than I had anticipated, but it is what it is. And we're going to stop it there, and then we will move on to chapter 4 here shortly. Okay, see you soon.